Good afternoon, and welcome back to Millennial Knowledge. In this article, Italy claims Egypt tried to cover up student murder. Italian prosecutors have accused Egyptian officials of deliberately trying to mislead the investigation into student Giulio Regeni's death. Regeni, a postgraduate student at the University of Cambridge, was doing research for his doctorate in Cairo when he went missing in January 2016. His body was found 9 days later. Prosecutors said Egypt's claims about Regini's death had either been contradicted by a post-mortem examination in Italy or debunked. Prosecutor Sergio Salacco was addressing the first session of a parliamentary commission set up to look into whether Regini was the focus of scrutiny by security forces in Egypt before his death. The topic the 28-year-old Italian student was looking into, independent trade unions, is politically controversial within Egypt. What happened to Regini, you may ask? The Italian PhD student disappeared on the research trip on 25th January 2016, the fifth anniversary of the start of the uprising against former President Hosni Mubarak, when there was a heavy police presence in Cairo. Regini's body was eventually discovered in a ditch by the side of a road on the 3rd of February. His mother told the Italian parliament last year that her son's body was so disfigured she was only able to identify him using the tip of his nose. Addressing the commission in Rome on Tuesday, Mr. Salacco said, "A web was spun by Egypt's National Security Service from the October preceding his death, a web in which the apparatus used the people closest to Giulio in Cairo. People who knew Regeni passed information about him to secret services," he alleged. He added that the Italian post-mortem examination found Regeni had been tortured in stages between the 25th of January and the day of his death. His body sustained injuries that showed he was beaten with kicks, fists, sticks, and clubs, and that he died from a broken neck, Mr. Salacco added. Egypt has denied accusations that Regeni died in custody. However, officials have admitted that the security services were monitoring him. What were Egypt's misleading claims? Fake stories were fabricated to throw off the investigation, almost as soon as Regini's body was found, Mr. Slocco told the hearing. First was that a post-mortem examination carried out in Egypt showed that the student had been killed in a car accident. This has been contradicted by post-mortem carried out in Italy. Another was that because Regini was naked when his body was found, there was a sexual motive behind the death. Then in March that year, Mr. Sulaco said a "witness" claimed on television that he saw Regini arguing with a foreigner near the Italian consulate the evening before his death. This claim was later debunked by telephone records showing the supposed witness was nowhere near the consulate at the time, and that Regini was at home watching a film online when the fight was supposed to have taken place. Finally, officials said Regini was killed by a five-strong criminal gang, and that all of them were then killed in a shootout. This claim was later branded implausible. Mr. Sulaco and fellow prosecutor Michele Prespino have been investigating Regini's death in coordination with Egyptian officials, but almost 4 years later, no one has been charged. Last year, Italy placed 5 members of the Egyptian security forces under official investigation for their alleged involvement. Mr. Prespino said coordinating with Egypt was tricky because the two nations don't have a bilateral judicial pact. Public Prosecutor's Office will continue with determination to do all it can to find evidence and work out what happened, Mr. Prespino said.